Welcome back to Inside Tennessee on this Sunday morning. Knoxville Mayor Indya Kincannon with us. She just dropped her new budget proposal. This will go before council. Mayor, always good to see you. We're going to broaden our questions now and talk about something that you did with the other mayors of the big cities in this state. John, I'll let you set the scene.
Mayor, obviously gun violence has been on the minds of many people in Tennessee here and across the state before Covenant, after Covenant, but the big four mayors of the state sent a letter to the governor saying, please consider a number of issues that really need to be addressed when it comes to guns, gun access. Talk a little bit about that if you would, and have you heard any kind of a response?
Yes, I was really pleased to join my fellow mayors in writing that letter. Gun safety is a really big challenge. We are losing lives in Knoxville and places all across the state. Sometimes it's because of illegal guns and people committing murders, and sometimes they're getting those guns from when people don't lock their cars or lock the guns inside the cars. That's where a lot of the sources are. But it's also kids who get access to guns. So one element of the letter that I think is really important is safe storage. You know, it's not about abridging anybody's rights to own a gun. It's about, with those rights come responsibilities. Lock your guns up. Lock your guns up so your kids don't get them, so people who are suicidal don't get them. You know, it's just a basic thing. So universal background checks, safe storage. Most responsible gun owners that I know think that this is, of course, common sense. You know, should you be able to get a gun when you are, you know, experiencing like suicidal tendencies, homicidal tendencies? No. So I applaud Governor Lee for proposing the extreme safety background. You know, I can't remember what he calls it. Yeah, order of protection laws. I mean, that is a really positive step, and I have had the opportunity to speak to our state senators who represent Knoxville, Lieutenant Governor McNally, Senator Massey, and Senator Briggs, and they all sounded like they were supportive of that. Common sense gun owners understand that it comes with responsibilities. That's what our message was about. It's not about politics, it's about saving lives.
And have you heard anything back yet from?
Well, I think, you know, he's called for a special session,
right,
and so that's a step in the positive direction. I think that we're going to need not just mayors, but police chiefs and moms and dads and teachers and police officers to express their wishes on this, because I think the vast majority of Tennesseans, and it's not just what I think, polls show that people want us to adopt common sense gun safety. When you poll, I think it was a Vanderbilt poll that asked parents of school-age kids, do you want the governor and the state General Assembly to adopt common sense gun safety? And they widely support universal background checks, raising the age to 21, red flag laws, and that doesn't mean they don't want a gun, be able to go to buy a gun to protect themselves or go hunting. They're not mutually exclusive.
It's commendable that the mayors of the biggest cities in this state are doing this. One might argue they could do it even more. But the majority of the lawmakers in our legislature seem not terribly interested in what the big four have to say, and more interested in what their smaller communities are doing and what their own allegiances are. I wonder if that's frustrating.
Well, I think that you know, there is a challenge with a perceived divide between urban and rural interests, but the fact is we have a lot more in common than that. We're all one state, we're all one Tennessee. Rural people are coming to Knoxville for jobs, for education, for opportunity. We welcome them. We are glad to have all the people of our community. They need to come here to, you know, provide labor and also to use our hospitals, because we don't have so many hospitals in rural areas anymore. So I think we have a lot more common ground than not, and I think we need to tune out the rhetoric and tune in the humanity.
The legislature did act on a couple of things that are creating some changes for the city of Knoxville. Number one is elections for city council. We want to get your thoughts on that. And number two is a change to the Police Advisory Review Committee and the ability for that committee to act independently. That's been stripped away by state lawmakers, and there's question about should citizens be able to have more oversight over the police. And as I understand it, the director of park typically could take a case that wasn't serious, but involved maybe an accusation of misdoing by an officer, and handle it themselves. And now that's going to internal affairs. Is that a change you wanted to see?
That is not a change we wanted to see, and it's a solution looking for a problem. We have a great working relationship between our Citizens Review Board and the police, and it's even better now under Chief Noel and Deputy Chief Belk. So I'm not sure what the legislature's motivation was. They didn't ask us, and we certainly made sure to let them know that there was no problem here and they didn't need to fix a problem that doesn't exist. Same with our elections. There's not a single person in the city of Knoxville who came to me or any member of city council and said, we need to change our elections, I don't like the way it is. This was all coming from outside people trying to preempt local governance, and so I don't think those were good actions, and I am aware that it's not going to change anything for this current election, and so we have a little time to understand it better and see how we may move forward.
Finally, Mayor, there was one piece of your budget that had to do with veterans and veteran housing, and you highlighted that in your message. Could you just leave us with that, because that is a significant step?
Well, one thing that breaks my heart is homelessness, but in particular when a person has served their country, risked their lives for their country, and end up on the streets. That's not okay. So I'm really pleased that we are allocating $500,000 towards Liberty Place, which is going to be permanent supportive housing exclusively for veterans. And so partnering with the county and state and federal government, and KCDC is leading the effort, that's going to be a home for veterans, 38 veterans right here in Knoxville.
You went on the last Honor Air flight earlier this spring with a plane load of veterans, seeing the memorials built in their honor for a one-day, all-expenses-paid trip. What was your takeaway?
I was so privileged to be able to join them on that trip and see their reaction, particularly to the Vietnam Memorial. I really thank Eddie Manis and all the people who have made Honor Air possible for so many veterans all across East Tennessee. It's a real gift to our country and to our veterans, so it was a wonderful experience.
Mayor Kincannon, always great to see you. Thank you for making time for us.
Absolutely, thank you.
We'll be back with a talk around on Inside Tennessee with my colleague John North.